Good evening, councillors, and welcome to the Sandwich Town Council meeting of the council as trustees to Sandwich Tollbridge Fund. And on this wonderful agenda tonight, we have got item number 1, apologies for absence received. Do you have any apologies, Town Clerk, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So you have apologies from Councillor Morehouse, who has a travel commitment, Councillor Gray, who has a personal commitment, and the Mayoress Councillor Danielle Carter has a personal commitment.
Thank you very much. Great. Okay, thank you. Item number 2 is declarations of interest, and that is to receive any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interest from members in respect of the business to be transacted on this agenda this evening. Do we have any declarations? That's Camille return. Thank you very much. And item number 3 is minutes of the previous committees. And this is to approve the minutes of the extraordinary meeting of Sandwich Town Council as Tollbridge Fund on the 26th of June 2024. Oh, by the way, I was going to take these all on block unless anybody's got anything particular on any of these minutes. Does anybody have anything particular to raise? If not, I'll take them all on block. Okay, that's fine, thank you. Also to approve the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the STC as trustees of Sandwich Tollbridge Fund held on the 23rd of September 2024. To receive the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting held on the 18th of September and the 16th of October 2024, and the Museum and Archive Committee meeting held on the 24th of July 2024. Those are attachments 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D and 1E. Councillor Black?
Yeah, I was going to abstain on one of them, but I wasn't present. So what do we do? I mean, I'm quite happy to take it on block.
Yes, indeed.
But what do we do if we're going to abstain on one of them?
Oh, just notify the town clerk which one you're abstaining from.
Yeah, okay, 1C.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Could I have a proposer, please, for this minutes? Thank you, Councillor Pennington, and a seconder, Councillor Black. Thank you very much. And all those in favour, please show your cards.
Abstaining from the museum.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So should we do that one, I think, separately, the museum separately?
Okay, we'll do this museum one separately.
Yeah, so that's all the others.
All the other minutes, that's all been passed. Thank you very much. And then I believe it's 1E is the Museum and Archive Committee held on the 24th of July 2024. Could I have a proposer, please? That's Councillor Ripley, and a seconder, Councillor Anderson. All those in favour, please show. And those abstaining, please show.
1, 2, 3 abstentions. Oh, and you, 4 abstentions. Okay,
You can get all of those.
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
I haven't recorded the vote. I've just said 4 abstentions. Yeah.
Super. And that is passed. Thank you very much. Item number 4 is payment schedules. Once again, I'll take these on block unless anybody's got any particular items to raise. Councillor Wiles?
Yeah, I'm concerned about it seems a growing number of smaller items going to Amazon, to B&Q, to Home Bargains, etc. I would like to see procurement of those kind of items going to local businesses if possible, in order that our tax money is recycled within the town.
Sure.
That's just a general
Oh,
comment.
yeah, sure, that's good to note. That's been noted by the town council.
I think, Councillor Wiles, what we do try and do is be measured. So we're doing some local businesses like carpenters and people like that, and then just to try and keep costs down, obviously, because if we do go everywhere, if we get everything from carpenters, there will be a cost implication. But just if members prefer us to keep local, we can certainly do that. But just to realise there will be a cost implication.
That's just a general comment.
Thank you.
Perhaps if a comparison could be made, and if the item is exception dearer locally, then we might have to purchase it from further afield, hopefully not South America. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So payment schedules, cash book and bank reconciliations, this is item number 4. 5A, to receive the Sandwich Toll Bridge Fund payment schedule for the end of September, mid-October and end of October and mid-November 2024. 5B is to receive the Sandwich Toll Bridge Fund Guildhall October and mid-October and mid-November accounts. 5C is to receive the Museum and Archives payment schedules for the end of September, end of October and mid-November. Item 5D is to receive the Sandwich Toll Bridge Fund cash book as of 30th September 2024. 5E is to receive the bank reconciliation as of 30th September 2024. 5F is to receive the bank reconciliation as of 30th of September 2024 for the Toll Bridge Fund as the Guildhall. And 5G is to receive the bank reconciliation for Sandwich Toll Bridge Fund Museum as at the 30th of September 2024.
Yes, I've just got one comment.
Indeed, please carry on.
Apologies, because I made a comment against the confidential report on the Empire Cinema. I've lost where it is in amongst all of those pages, but the comment is pertinent and it can be taken away in terms of possibly an action. So what I wanted to know is when the report will be submitted to the trustee. The reason for that is we're going through the budget setting process at the moment. We need to look at expenditure and income in the round to understand where we need to focus any commitment to spend next year. My guess is that report will highlight a number of things that we need to have done to the Empire Cinema just to make it stand still rather than increasing its the quality of its interior and exterior. So the key thing as trustee of the STBF is that the first priority expenditure area are the assets. So things like the grants, etc., they follow on after the assets are protected. And one thing that hasn't happened in the past, and we need to address now, is protecting the assets. And the Empire Cinema is probably the one that's got the greatest need at the moment under STBF.
Indeed.
So the original question was, when we're likely to get the report to discuss it, so we can factor that into any discussions around budget setting for next year.
Of course.
Yes.
Clark, would you know, or would that be Julian?
So the work is very near conclusion now with the report. Obviously, there are a lot of other assets as well that are. I can think of definitely another one that's in a similar situation. So that is the challenge really, and it will be for members to consider whether you're happy for there to be drawdown next year on the Toll Bridge Fund to meet costs of some of these necessary essential works. So there will be a difficult conversation. Obviously, we're not going to be in a position to agree a budget this side of Christmas for either the Toll Bridge Fund or the Town Council. So there will be a need for extraordinary meetings in the new year. So that's when you'll get some information, and obviously I'll make sure that you get that in time. Yeah, the budget.
Councillor Black.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised the word confidential seems to be scattered fairly liberally throughout this report. I thought if it was related to things like NI, pension and salaries, we just said confidential to salaries. I'm a bit concerned, are we going backwards?
Yeah. Would we be able to get an answer please.
I don't need an answer on the detail, I'm just making the point that in future, could we please?
Yeah,
The
so
narrative.
basically with the new system, if you don't set the confidential button, it will share my national insurance, my pension payments, my salary, Karen's.
Right.
So
And which we
that's-
don't want, obviously.
No.
the
So
detail.
it means Karen's got to go into the system and overwrite where it's got the word confidential and, you know, put a bit more of a narrative. It's been very obviously challenging at the moment with setting budgets and what, you know, she's been doing a lot of work. So we have taken it on board and it will be happening in the new year.
Okay, as long as it's happening,
Yeah.
thank you for the explanation.
Yeah,
Thank you for
that's
that,
all right.
Chair. Thank you. Councillor Wiles, did you have a question? Oh, you didn't. Okay, that's super. Councillor Fortescue, please, sir.
I'd like to ask a question about Stanbridge Tilbridge Fund Museum financial statement. And the reference is 800 /4. And it just says other. And the figure alongside is £12,000. And I just wondered, you know, what other stands for.
Councillor Town
So that would be in relation to the Roman Bowl. Obviously, that was purchased, but there was a drawdown necessary because the money was taken whilst you were waiting for the funding. But again, that will be with the new system. There isn't very many options. Other would be obviously one of the options because it didn't fit any of the other narratives because it's something ad hoc. But obviously, I can get much more information for you for next meeting. I'll speak to the RFO.
We have had that one before, actually, Councillor Fortescue. It crops up on a regular basis, but well spotted for looking up items like that. It's good to question those, so well done. Councillor Breen.
Yeah, I've spotted that as well. But I wanted to know when do we expect to receive the £12,000?
I see.
Yeah, it's my understanding we've had the money. Yeah, we have had the money. Yeah, yeah.
So if there's not any more questions, could I have a proposer and a seconder for the items which are attachments 2A to 2G, please? I read out earlier. So we've got Councillor Pennington who's proposing, and we've got Councillor Chuka is seconding. All those in favour of those items, please show now. And that's unanimous. Thank you very much, councillors. That's been passed. Item number 5 is finances and investments, and this is to receive the approve the various Quilter Cheviot updates and recommendations, including item number 1, Quilter Cheviot quarterly report dated 1st of July to 30th of September 24. Item 2, Quilter Cheviot report dated 30th of September 2024. Item number 3, Quilter Cheviot report dated 31st of October 2024. Item number 4 is a general update from Quilter Cheviot dated October 2024. Item 5 is a general portfolio update from Quilter dated 29th of October 2024. Item number 6 is Quilter Cheviot report dated 30th of November 2024. Item number 7 is Quilter Cheviot fees, which are to be approved and signed. Item number 8 is a proposal to move STBF investments into a charity account portfolio. Item number 9 is a quarterly investment review of the charity account quarter 3 of 2024. And item number 10 is minute F 11.24.5 from the Finance Committee meeting on the 20th of November, included a request from Councillor Breen that Quilter Cheviot be advised that future investments should not include investment into their own investment funds. So we had a couple of ones that we had to discuss.
Yes, please. There are some decisions to be
Number
made. Yeah,
7, wasn't it?
yeah.
So items.
Sorry, the others are to be received though.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So items numbers of 5, numbers 1 to 6. I'm proposing that we receive those and then we'll move on to item number 7. So would anybody like to second the receiving of items number 1 to 6 initially? I'll second. Thank you very much, Councillor Mallet. And I've proposed it, you've seconded it. All those in favour of items 1 to 6 of item 5 on the agenda, please show. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. And then item number 7, Quilter Cheviot fees to be approved and signed. Please note it is beneficial for the Tollbridge Fund investment portfolio to be on this fee structure, regardless of whether the portfolio is moved to the charity account. See item number 8. Please also find the original email from Howard at Quilter and a reply asking him about further questions about this fee structure. So do we have any questions on the fee structure at all? Oh, Councillor Mallet?
Yes, I don't understand, do I?
No, not in this meeting. No, you can relax and enjoy yourself.
No, I don't know how to enjoy this.
Oh, come on, it's Christmas.
It covers generally 7, 8 and beyond. And it's basically looking at the income from Quilter Cheviot that they are generating for us for a managed fund. It barely keeps up with inflation. Generally, it doesn't. So the fund is going down. Whether we draw money out or not, the fund is going down. And for them to say later on, and I'm sorry to jump from 7 to 8 or 9, the charity account saying there will be even less money coming through, less investment, less benefit from the investment. So we're going to see the fund degrade even more without taking any money out. And I would suggest that rather than consider whether it's a charity account portfolio, we actually consider whether we can Quilter Cheviot, because I think they're useless, quite honestly.
Indeed. Thank you very much for that comment, and that will be noted. Thank you on that. Councillor Tuker next.
I have some sympathy, is all right, I'm not sure, but agreement in terms of what you're saying. Thank you, Simon. But I think what we've got in front of us is a very clear explanation of the benefit of moving across to the alternative scheme that they're suggesting. So is circa £10,000 saving with no exit fees. When we do make the right decision, if it is to exit, we should do that. At the moment, we haven't. I don't think we've got the enough within this group to make a decision about moving elsewhere. We need to think about next year how we engage some sort of intelligence around what is the right fund for us with whoever it should be. I don't think we're there yet, so we need to plan for that. For now, we've got on the table an offer of moving across to an alternative scheme that does demonstrate a saving of £10,000 with no exit fees, which is clear in 6 months' time.
Yeah. I think it's Councillor Wiles and then.
Yeah, I agree with what Councillor Mallet says, but just a reminder again that the Tollbridge Fund is not just this portfolio, it's the assets that the Tollbridge Fund owns. So I think each meeting we should be looking at the fund in the round about the assets, the return on the assets, whether the assets should be retained or sold, etc., etc.
Indeed, yeah, that's a good idea. So a review of the entirety of the Tollbridge Fund. That's a good idea. That's perhaps something that we could raise at finance. Tollbridge Fund. I think it was Councillor Franklin next, and then Councillor Pennington.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with Councillor Suker. I think we should do that activity. It's going to save us money. And I disagree with Councillor Mallet because I'm trustee of another charity. We're very sensitive to sharing it. I think you just got to look at the shares that we've got and move them into a high basket. I mean, I think they're quite a low risk, our shares. We might have to move up to a higher risk. It's up to us to extract then what shares, what rank we want to be in.
That's correct. That's been raised several times before, hasn't it, Councillor Franklin? So
yeah, the other 4 people, we're very, very pleased with Quilter Cheviot, but of course they've got different shares to us.
Of course, yeah, different risk factor. Thank you for that. And Councillor Pennington next.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I very much support the comments made by Councillor Tucker and others about the need to take a decision straight away about whether to use the charity fund, but then to move on to a wider review, which would look not only at the use of the tribute as an investment expertise, but maybe to move it elsewhere, but also to balance the investments within the fund, because I'm not convinced it's right at the moment. I do think there are other things that we could be doing with the money that might be of great benefit to the people of Sandwich at the moment. I'm not really sure the Tollbridge Fund is delivering that.
No, indeed. Thank you very much for those comments. Councillor Black.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle a bit to understand what savings we would make, because the actual bulk of the savings are hidden much further down in the report. So at first it looks like you're going to make a saving of £1,000 by moving. It's when you look at some of the transactions, there's no explanation as to why there's significantly less cost in the transactions, and this worries me a bit. You tell me I've got this wrong, folks.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It is quite worrying that we're now in this situation, and because we're paying for their advice, we should have been possibly in this situation 2, 3, 4 years ago. So I think you're right, Councillor Black. I think it is, it shouldn't have been that the Tollbridge Fund had been, or the trustees had to ask these questions as our professional advisors. They should have really come forward with this information earlier, really. That's what I believe, anyway.
Yeah, my point was slightly different from that. That's water under the bridge. But when you look at the first paper, I think it's paper 7 or 8, they're not talking of significant savings. It's when you dig much deeper that you see where some significant savings comes. Because just on the paper, which talks about moving, that we save about 1,000 a year, which, quite frankly, for a lower return, as others have said, didn't strike me as worthwhile. But it's just the way that this is. It's very difficult to understand this because of the way it's laid out. I did eventually find additional savings, but it took an awful lot of work, and I would make a suggestion when we go back to public duties. Better editing might be an advantage.
And I believe plain English is always.
Oh well, these are finance people; they don't speak the same language.
Thank you very much for those comments. So, we've done recommendation 1, which is to note items 1 to 6 above. Item number 2 of the recommendations is that the trustees approve and sign moving to the attached fee structure detailed in 7. So that's the next one we're going to vote on. So I'm quite happy to propose that we do for tonight, apart from all the considerations that have been raised, for this evening, I'm proposing that the trustees do approve and sign moving to the attached fee structure on a temporary basis going ahead. Would anybody like to second that? Councillor Tucker. And all those in favour of picking up the fee structure for the time being? Thank you. That's unanimous. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Sorry, Councillor Mann.
And when you say a temporary basis, you don't mean
I don't mean
No,
temporary
no,
as
no,
in
no,
5
that's
minutes.
right.
No,
No,
just that's what we'll do until we can review the whole situation.
Thank
So
you.
to review,
Yeah.
it will be permanent until we can review it.
Exactly.
Beg your
Yeah.
pardon.
Okay.
I'm not using plain English, am I? Recommendation 3 is that the trustees consider the proposal detailed in numbers 8 and 9 and confirm whether they would like to move the portfolio into the charity account. So I've heard a couple of you say you would be happy to do that.
We're not have to sign to do that.
Oh,
This is the problem. The way this is structured, they really run together.
they do, but
I
unfortunately,
thought we basically said if you change the fee structure, you have to move it.
oh, sure, yeah. Okay, well, could we just confirm that, because the town clerk has set these out as separate items, so I'd like to continue. Is that okay to keep them as a recommendation?
Yes, so, sorry, I think what were members saying that you want to debate first? No? No.
No,
No, I think we have.
I wasn't sure
we've
what
had the debate.
Yes.
They're just saying, should it have been on block
No,
7, 8,
no,
9?
I think you should take the recommendations because,
Separately, that's
yeah,
what I was
yeah,
doing.
yeah,
That's it. So we're now on to our item number 3, where the trustees consider the proposed detail in 8 and 9, and move across to the charity account. I believe I had Councillor Chuper. Did you say that you would propose that?
Yeah.
And Councillor Pennington said that he would like to second that. And all those in favour of going across to the charity account, please show. Okay, that's almost unanimous, apart from Councillor Barrett. Thank you very much. And recommendation 4 is that the trustees confirm their instruction to Quilter for the RFO to ask them that the STBF investment should not include investments into their own investment funds. So I believe Councillor Green put this forward. Would you like to propose this, Councillor Green? That's very kind of you, thank you. And Councillor Anderson is seconding that. All those in favour, please show now. That's almost unanimous, apart from Councillor Pennington. Thank you. That item has been passed as well. Thank you very much. Okay, so where are we now? Item number 6.
yes. Oh, and it
What's
was
the
just,
public speaking then?
no, it's going to be when the Sandwich and Bloom evaluation is discussed. Yes, yes,
Have I missed something?
No,
No, I did all the recommendations.
yeah, there's the minute reference, but yeah, we've done that bit. Yeah, that's it.
That's good. Well
Yeah.
done. Sorry
Yeah,
about
number-
that. So
Number 6.
item number 6 is a drawdown request from investments, and the trustees are to consider a request from the RFO to draw down £40,000 from the STBF investments to top up the STBF Guildhall account. And hopefully, if you've read this, it could just be a sort of belt and braces type scenario in case our expenditure over the next couple of months was slightly higher than estimated. But we're at a position whereby we've got enough to get by, but if there was any problems or concerns with expenditure over the next couple of months, this £40,000 could act as a buffer. So, did anybody want to speak on this item? Councillor Mallet?
Just to satisfy my mind, the drawdown of 40,000, is this excluding any option later on of grants going out to such as any of SCEA, any of the festivals, those that we normally give grants to? Because it's, it's a little bit of smoke and mirrors that I'm picking up, but I don't really quite understand what the limits of this £40,000 drawdown. If it is just we need it £40,000 now, but there's more decisions later on, then fair enough. If it's 40,000 and that's it,
no,
and there is no money coming out later,
no,
there are two different things.
no. We've the trustees actually made a requirement that there would be a drawdown of up to 72,700 in this financial year.
The approved budget.
And that was put in place and that was voted on and agreed.
Yeah.
So we can draw down to that sum this year. So this £40,000 will be a part of that, but it is hoped that it won't be fully used, but it would be a contingency for any issues. But it has no relation to any grant funding whatsoever. So Councillor Tomlins and then Councillor Black, please.
A question really that follows on from that. is what happens when and if it isn't spent, because then it's been removed from the Tollbridge Fund, and why is it necessary to take it out in advance rather than leave it and remove it as necessary?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. So if, say, for instance, we came to January and there had been a very large expenditure because, say, for instance, part of the roof caved in or something else happened. So before you get the insurance, you have to get the roof work done to make sure the building's watertight. We've got to make sure we've got a certain amount of money there to be able to pay the salaries. So mandatory things that we need to pay. Now we're sort of borderline on how much money we've got in there. I think it's 20,000 currently.
Yeah.
And so if say something happens to any of the buildings or any of the assets like that, we wouldn't be able to get any emergency works done or things like that. And we have to make sure we've got a certain amount in the account to pay the salaries and the outgoings like utility bills. So, and we are going into the winter period now. So it's, as I said, belt and braces, it's a contingency measure. And on the back of your question, if we weren't to use it all and then the finances picked up and they were okay, there is the option to put the money back into the Tollbridge Fund, which of course we would do being responsible trustees.
And I can't remember if that has happened. Is that something that does happen?
Usually the RFO calculates how much needs to be taken out. So she could have drawn out, she could have asked us tonight to draw out a much larger sum, but she's only drawing out enough to cover the next 2 months. I think, was it Councillor Black?
No, sorry, Councillor, because my question was the same as Councillor
Oh,
Thomas.
super, thank you.
Yes,
So Councillor Duke and then
this
Councillor
is basically operating capital to enable the funds continue to run. My guess is that actually this drawdown is based on the finance officer's estimate of what we need. So any expectations about 40,000 being left at the end of the financial year, I think, are very light. And in fact, in the report it says she may need at some point in the future drawdown again. But we have agreed 72,700 at the start of the year is going to be available to draw down. This is just an important part of that. There's nothing else that's been drawn down so far.
Thank you very much for that explanation. And Councillor Wiles.
Yeah, I'm happy to support this, but I think we need a longer term approach to this because we cannot continue to be using capital money for day-to-day spending. That's just bad finances. So we need a strategy for the longer term. Otherwise, within 10 years, we've lost 700,000 from the capital. That's 20 years, there's nothing left.
That's correct. And that's all a part of the budget setting that we have to do each year. So if something crops up that we think will consume a large amount of money, say like the boilers need replacement, something like that, we need to plan well in advance to make sure that that money can be covered. So we do need long-term financial planning in the finance.
Just say, Chairman, that this fund's been in place for 50 years and we've been drawing down now for 50 years, so we're not going to do that. That's money that we've got in it now, are we?
No, that's correct.
As long as I'm going to rock around and just going to do that up again.
That's it, yeah. Prudence amongst trustees, indeed, thank you. So did I have Councillor Duker, did you say you were proposing? Oh, so thank you. And Councillor Pennington is seconding that. Thank you very much. All those in favour, please show. And that is unanimous. Thank you very much for that. Abstentions there. 6. Item number 7. Trustees' report and accounts for SDBF. Trustees are to receive and approve the Sandwich Tollbridge Fund Trustee Report and Financial Statement for the year ended 31st of March 2024, and a decision is required on this. Hopefully you've all had the report. This of course is quite a straightforward report that gives the overview of the Tollbridge Fund it's rather a snapshot of where we were as at the 31st of March 2024. So really it's should be a formality to actually approve this going forward. Did anybody have any comments before I propose approval? Oh, Councillor Wild,
Yeah. Sorry, sounding like a crack record, but the property, the tangible and heritage assets are listed in here at roughly £300,000 against the investments of around 2 million. I would like us to think about the valuation of those assets. I mean, clearly they're listed here at cost, acquisition cost.
Exactly.
But I'm not quite clear what the statement of recommended practice for charities says about revaluations and whether they should be listed at their current value rather than their historic value.
Indeed, indeed, that's something we could find out from perhaps the finance officer to come back to us.
The reports to a future meeting, perhaps, just to.
Indeed.
It's the fund as a whole, isn't it?
It is.
If we're drastically undervaluing the value of the fund, then we need to be aware of that.
Indeed, we do, but that is a good point. Could we put that to the finance
Yes.
officer, if that's okay? Thank you, Town Clerk. Oh, Councillor Tudor.
Yeah, I was just going to say, whilst the report is fine in terms of how it's presenting the facts, I just wanted to draw out 2 paragraphs that are quite relevant to what we were just talking about in terms of the overall picture. So paragraph 15, no building works were carried out during the year other than routine repairs and maintenance. And then paragraph 23, which I'm not going to read through, but both illustrate the challenges that we've got to address, and we keep on sort of skirting around it. I think the thing is, as the trustee, we're expected to put aside sufficient funds to ensure that the charity is not overtaken by inflation. So whilst we might, using the word prudent is okay to use to a point, but actually, over the last year, the fund itself, without factoring inflation, has actually shrunk. So I don't think we can pat ourselves over that, because whilst we might not be sitting around saying in 20 years' time, the SDBF will be sitting, whether the charity sitting to discuss it, I think it keeps on the way it's going. So I think the thing is, we do need to, picking up on Councillor Wild's point, we do need to look at this seriously over the next 12 months to decide how we really go to handle this problem. Including Quilter Cheviot, including the assets, the whole.
I was actually referring to historic prudence that Councillor Franklin was talking about being around for 50 years. But what all of you do with it in the next 2 years will be nice to see how you get on with. Whether I can say prudence in 2 years' time to you. So I've got Councillor Black and then Councillor Franklin.
Yeah, I'm just interested. Paragraph 18 about this very significant increase in the revenue we're getting from Dover District. The way I read this seems to be they've changed the coding structure. Does that mean that they owe us a lot of back money?
So are you talking about the income from the car park? Yeah, I think there was some money that was from last year as well that was factored into this year's contribution. Yes. Exactly how much was from last year, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I can certainly check with the RFO. And I think there was obviously a dip during COVID, and it has taken a period to recover because obviously people were not out. But it's certainly this year now, it seems to be getting back to what it was before COVID.
Okay, let's make sure that we get our money's worth from BBC. They're happy to take ours. Can we take theirs?
Exactly, yeah. Good point. That's exactly right. But we can check with the RFO council.
I didn't get a chance to phone her because I didn't read this until last night.
Of course. Councillor Green?
I would just ask everybody to note that the council states the position in the fact that the income for 2024 was 288,000. Excuse me, and the expenditure was 345,000. And of the expenditure, 234,000 went to actually running the building. Just to note those figures.
Thank you very much for that. And sorry,
Yeah, I
Councillor
was going to
Franklin.
say, don't forget how to get 100,000 from the 480. That cost an absolute fortune, didn't it? So that will come out of Sunday conference, £100,000.
Exactly, and that normal.
But Sandwich Town Council didn't make any contributions to that.
No, because the buildings are conference, didn't it?
Yeah, I think Councillor Franklin's just saying there may be some abnormalities in that data set. So we have to consider everything in a data set, not just the end figure, but what made up that figure. So it's, as with the government, you know, having a 20 million black hole, whatever it is. Oh, Councillor Miles.
For things like that, it makes sense to have a sinking fund. So it's spread over 30 years rather than a hit in 1 year.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's something that we should be considering.
Sinking fund.
So, on that point, I would like to, did we have somebody to propose the annual accounts, financial statement accounts, please? So, Councillor Franklin, thank you. And did we have a seconder, Councillor Wiles? And all those in favour, please show. That's unanimous. Thank you very much, Councillor. Oh, beg your pardon.
One
Sorry.
abstention.
Councillor, one abstention. Item number 8 is the hub update report, and trustees consider a report from the property manager with 2 proposals for utilising the hub. Trustees requested to adopt one of the 2 proposals. This is attachment number 6. I won't read through everything there. Hopefully you've all had the opportunity to read through, but we have 2 recommendations. So after reading the attached brochure, for which actually Town Clerk, I'd like to thank the property manager for putting this together, to give us the background information and knowledge, in particular the communications with Dover District Council about change of use, because that could have had consequences there. After reading the attached brochure, trustees are asked to approve either of the following options. Option number 1 is to give exclusive use to the hirers of the pop-up events with an expected hire fee of approximately £8,000 per annum. Or option 2 is to agree a hybrid model that would include enabling the hub to be used for meetings and other functions, subject to sufficient notice being provided, and the expected hire fees from this second option will be approximately £6,000 per year. Did we have any comments for Councillor Mallet first?
It's with regard to £8,000 per annum for exclusive use for pop-up events. Essentially, we turn the hub into a rental shop. Am I right in thinking?
It's not actually a shop. It's not classified as a shop.
You might not be classified, but a retail space, because the pop-ups make money. They sell stuff, make money. Okay, we get £8,000, but £8,000 for essentially a shop front of that size, is that a reasonable amount? Does that work?
Well, that's for you to consider, I guess. So
it's very cheap.
Yeah. Councillor Pennington and then Councillor Wiles, please.
Thank you. Yes, firstly, we have a recommendation. There are 2 options, so I'm not quite sure if either of them is being recommended. My gut feeling is to go for option 2. The meeting space in the Guildhall is very precious, and I think it will be good for us to have somewhere like the hub that we could use occasionally for meetings if having a meeting would interfere with functions and so on in the Guildhall. So my gut feeling is to go with option 2, but I don't know if the property manager is actually proposing one or the other.
Sure, yeah, I'll come back to that if that's okay. Coming back to Councillor Mallet, your proposal, another way to look at what you've just said is up until recently, we didn't have any income coming in on the hub at all. So up until recently, we had 0 income and 0 use of it. And if you went in there and up until recently, like myself, you would find it was a storage room with some tables and chairs in it. So you know, either of these options will be a very positive and welcome move forward, I would say. And that's how I'd like to look at things, being positive move forward. I think it was Councillor Wiles and Councillor Ripley and Councillor
I think
Thompson.
8,000 is about right. There's a large retail space on King Street that's 7,500.
There you go.
I think I'm in favour of option 2. My only comment is whether option 2 creates more work for the property manager because of the, you know, mix and match approach, or mix approach. But, yeah.
And Councillor Ripley, Councillor Tomlins, Councillor Tutor, and then Councillor Green.
I was just wondering whether if it was exclusively pop-up events, surely that wouldn't be 7 days a week anyway, would it? I mean, there should be a lot of free time available for, you know, other meetings and what have you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there could be that opportunity for that. So, indeed. Okay.
I was going to say, up until recently, it was covering 7 days a week because different users wanted different days. Some people wanted Wednesday to Sunday, so it is potentially over 7 days.
I didn't get that answer. And then back over to Councillor Tomlins.
Are the interested parties aware of the second option? Because it might not be something that they're interested in.
It's our hub, so we can do
Yeah,
it.
but are they still likely, if we make a decision that then they don't want to, are they aware that that might be an option?
I believe from what I've been told, sorry, I come to in a minute, Town Clerk, is they see it as a very positive space to have.
No, I know about the full-time one, but I mean the second option.
Yeah,
Are they
so
aware
with the
that that might
second
be all
option,
that's offered to them?
it would just be a case of if they're available on these dates, are they interested, are the hirers interested in those dates or not? So we'd be planning probably like a couple of months in advance. So obviously the Town Clerk with the Guildhall diary could plan ahead and blank out the hub for particular meetings to take place there. So, and the hirers would just be told it's available on these occasions, take it or leave it.
And was there, you know, I imagine that they'll still need to store things there and, you know, that becomes issues with tax.
They're not, as far as I know, they're not allowed to store things.
No, they are taking things. Obviously, if they were there for 3 or 4 days, which they have been, they have left items. But no, there's nothing in the hub at the moment because we used it the weekend for the Meet the Reindeer event.
Yeah, there's no long-term storage because of insurance implications there. So, I think it was Councillor Tuker and then Councillor. Oh no, and then Councillor Green and then Councillor Black. So Tuker, Green and Black.
There is a need for space for meetings on the ground floor. We should value that. But I would go with the second option, recognising that obviously the income will be impacted because of that. But I think we should then review from the property manager's perspective, for example, in 6 months' time or 3 months, whichever we agree on, just to make sure some of the practicalities may not work. Because stallholders being told, well, yes, every Thursday can be yours, but actually not these particular Thursdays. It's actually how it practically plays out.
Indeed.
If we're going to use it as a place for generating income and we're going to start putting barriers in the way, then that might
Thank you for that.
matter.
That's right. Councillor Green.
I'm concerned about the business rates, and if you look at page 199 of our handout for today, you'll see that the rateable value for the hub is at 6,300 per annum, but there is a risk because the property manager is saying things like, I'm expecting the business rates to be in the order of just 650. And an adjustment to them and so forth. So until we have a bit more certainty about these, we could end up getting caught for the 6,300 full business rates. So I think, you know, until we've got certainty about what the business rates are and who's liable to pay them, we should just defer the decision.
Okay. The business rates would be the same because there's not been a change of class of use. So we would get the business rates for that unit as it is now, with or without the retail part of it.
So I think in terms of what's been presented here is an assumption that the business rates level can be reduced through a number of methods that have been suggested by the property officer. I think we could in principle still agree on one of these options, but that needs to be investigated, because you're right, we can't sign up to something that then comes back to haunt us. But then, in theory, we just stop it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I don't see there's a barrier to that.
Yeah, if it was to exceed the income, then obviously the review in 6 months, we would say that the business rates are far exceeding the income we're getting. And at that 6 monthly point, we would say we no longer go ahead with it. So.
For me, it's complex, we have some risk, we need certainty.
Indeed, thank you. I think it's Councillor Black and then Councillor Pennington.
But there's two separate issues. One is, I think that that's probably one of the most pleasant spaces that we've got in the Guildhall now in terms of decoration. And it's very, very accessible, using either the side door or coming through there. And I would be reluctant to lose it completely, which is why I'm inclined more to option 2. Even in option 1, I presume because there's going to be different use at different days of the week, there's still a set up and strip down for the hirers.
That's right.
I'm not sure how that's going to be any different if we go for option 2, because you still have to set up and strip down.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that you're going to make it less attractive to hires. I agree the point you can have every Thursday, but the second one in December and whatever. So that needs very effective scheduling. But I thought we bought some software last year that was specifically designed to allow us to manage the room allocation on a much better basis.
Part of the finance package.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's up and running currently.
No, but I thought we specifically
But we
agreed
could, yeah.
because of the problems that we were having with I think a manual system.
So basically, we were using the Outlook calendar. We are now using the Edge system and the Outlook calendar, because the Edge system doesn't do exactly what we want. But we're working with both of them, and we're getting around things. So we get the bookings in both systems, because obviously for the inquiries desk at the front, she needs instant access when people hire inquiries, and also for the caretakers as well. We're using the Edge system because the room layouts and everything are on there. So it's working fine. We're functioning with it. Yeah.
So the answer then is if they've got as much set up and stripped down under option 1, given a bit more revenue, or we have more flexibility as a council to use the room under option 2, and there's still got the same inconvenience to set up and strip down. I think that's a very strong argument for option 2.
Yeah, indeed. Councillor Pennington, that's the last one, then we'll go to the decision.
Thank you, very quickly. Firstly, it seems to me that certainly as far as our own need for meetings is concerned, it tends to be at times that we be in the least demand from commercial operators. In other words, we won't be looking at weekends or Thursday mornings. We will probably be looking more at early evening during the week. And so on, it's not likely to be a clash of objectives. Secondly, I would be reluctant to delay a decision simply in fairness to the property manager. I think he needs to know as soon as possible what we're going to do, and we can, if we like, look to limit, say this needs to be reviewed in 6 months or a year's time, to make sure that we've covered all the angles, as Councillor Green said.
Indeed. So from the chair, I would like to put forward the proposal of a summary that we go ahead with option 2 with a 6 monthly break clause and review of the processes being undertaken both financially and from operational point of view.
Could I just propose a slight amendment? The answer to the business rates is much earlier than 6 months. It should be achievable within a much shorter timescale. So I support option 2 as you propose that with the amendment that the property manager does get a clear answer on BBC on the business
Probably
rates.
can, yeah.
We're not sure.
Oh, sure, yeah, the data briefing on the business rate. So that the, I'm putting forward option 2.
6 months.
6 monthly review.
Yeah.
But with the information about the business rates coming back prior to that time.
Yeah.
From BBC. So there's the proposal. Do we have a seconder, Councillor Wiles? That was quickest there. And all those in favour of option 2? Thank you very much. I think that's unanimous. Thank you. That's been passed. Item number 9 is STBF grant feedback. Trustees are to receive a note to STBF grant funding feedback and evaluation forms from previous grant recipients. First of all, St Clement's Church, and secondly, Sandwich in Bloom. And a decision is required on this. What I just want to say before I introduce our first speaker is I'm a regular attendee at St Clement's Church. In fact, I was there this Sunday. So if there's nobody here on behalf of St Clement's Church, I would like to say that thank you very much, trustees, for the money that you gave to St Clement's Church, because the organ is in magnificent condition, and along with the fantastic choir that we have at St Clement's Church, it makes St Clement's Church a much better place. So thank you very much, and it was very much money well spent there on that historic organ. We've got something that a lot of churches in this diocese don't have, is such a magnificent and up-to-date organ in working condition. So thank you very much for that. And then I believe our second item, which is Sandwich in Bloom, we have the speaker, Harold George. Would you like to come and address the trustees, please? Did you want to be on camera or off?
Oh, I don't care. Thank you. I think it was before I start, just like to say, it's really interesting listening to all the comments that have been made and the ideas with respect to the Torbridge Fund money being spent. So although I am here to support Sandwich in Bloom, I have deviated a little bit on what I really wanted to say. So, Mr Mayor, Town Clerk and councillors, good evening. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you and can see that you already have a very full and long agenda, so I'll be as brief as possible. I don't believe there's any reason to repeat what I have written in the Sandwich in Bloom report, other than to say, having viewed the recording of the SUC meeting in September and noting a number of questions relating to Sandwich in Bloom and their funds, I thought a report might clarify our funding and answer councillors' questions. The other 2 points that I had hoped to highlight in that report were that we were extremely grateful to receive the money from the Sandwich Torbridge Fund, so I wanted to say a personal thank you, and to reiterate that it's almost impossible to gain funding for or apply for grants unless your application is linked to a new project, and therefore reliance that Sandwich in Bloom has on the money that emanates from the Torbridge Fund is essential if we are to maintain the status quo. Just to add to this point, that without some guarantee of income, Sandwich in Bloom will not survive beyond the end of 2025 with its current funding and bank balance. It is clear that many voluntary organisations that exist in Sandwich have but a single ethos and aim. We all love the town, want to see Sandwich on the map and supporting our tourism activities and encourage trade for our wonderful local businesses. Ensuring these businesses remain viable is essential and greatly relied on and valued by our residents as well as people visiting. I'm concerned, therefore, that the SCC budget plan for next year indicates that there is no money available to fund the many local activities and volunteer groups that bring trade and visitor numbers into Sandwich. Clearly, the message I take from this is that these activities are not really valued or seen as an essential part of the town's heritage and infrastructure by the council. which is very sad, and it's a sad indictment on the volunteer groups who give freely of their time to ensure, as you do, Sandwich thrives. I fully appreciate the council's need to control their costs, balance their books, and to stop raiding the Tollbridge Fund for activities unrelated to the listed requirements that are specified. I would add that I totally agree that for too many years, the Tollbridge Fund has been abused and used as, to coin a phrase, a bit of a cash cow. Council activities, for council activities and for some costs. Clearly, propping up general council activities is not what it was designed to do and against the principles of the fund. I also acknowledge that if this activity is allowed to continue, within 15 or 20 years, which is what we've said tonight, the fund will no longer exist. And this will be a grave concern to all of us, and it is a major problem that you're facing. I, like many other residents, would hate to think that council's views with respect to this is that the Georgina Maddox Fund could be a replacement source of income, because I don't believe it can or should be. I understand that a key principle of the Tollbridge Fund is to use the investment's income to protect and support the town's assets. I would like to say that while not a council-owned building, or a conventional term that can be deemed as an asset, in its way, the lights, Sandwich and Boom, along with other festival activities, should be seen as an essential asset. Acknowledging that we and the council have a major problem, and having worked for so many years in the commercial world, the response to any problem does have to seek and activate a solution. I apologise if my suggestions appear presumptuous. However, my view to address the problems are twofold. The essential issue of income must be addressed by reviewing the poor performance of the investment company that this council has historically and is currently engaged with. Quotas may well have appeared sympathetic and advisory when they presented to the council. However, their returns are, in my opinion, abysmal. They are currently being investigated for applying hidden fees. They had the audacity to use, without permission, £50,000 of Tollbridge money to invest in their own fund, and the returns on the Tollbridge Fund investment is well below par. For us, as an example, my own investment, which is nothing like the money that you have, earned last year, or gave me an 11.74% return on my investment, whereas what you are getting from Quilters is nothing like that whatsoever. I don't believe Quilters' portfolio is receiving income much more than I'd estimated, between 3 and 5%, but I can't be certain of that figure. But it's not anywhere near where it should be. A fund that is showing real growth in today's market would alleviate many of the financial issues you face. Might I suggest that an independent financial review conducted by an external financial expert is established as soon as possible, and that this person can then advise on who, how, and what can be invested to improve this situation. Alternative suppliers should be sought. My last suggestion is that a small sum of money is made available for the town's voluntary groups in order to, at some level, support the various activities, maintain the council's reputation, along with the important view of residents and volunteers alike that Sandwich Town Council acknowledges the enormous contribution that these activities make to Sandwich. Thank you. I'd like to thank you all for the work you do and wish you a Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so trustees, you've had both the written reports and you've had one and a bit verbally. So basically, I'm just asking for a proposal to receive those two feedback reports. Councillor Wiles, thank you, and Councillor Ripley seconding, and all those in favour. That's superb. Thank you. That item has been passed. I think it's good to get that feedback, whether it's about the grants or other things. Likewise, it's always good to get some feedback. So thank you very much, Mrs. George.
Good night.
Have a
Merry
pleasant Christmas if we don't see you again. So item number 10, the proposed hire fees for the Guildhall 2025-26. Trustees are to consider a report from the property manager that relates to proposed revised fees for the hire of the Guildhall for the 2025-26 year. Members are invited to discuss and agree the proposed fees for the hire of the Guildhall and to recommend adoption of the new fees for the 2025-26 year starting the 1st of April. And this is attachment number 8. Town Clerk, would you like to?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I've had a conversation with the property manager since obviously the report was published. We'd like to ask if trustee would consider that the regular hirers, the fees would remain at the current level until the 31st of March 2025, starting with the increases on the 1st of April 2025. But more importantly, that any new hires that come through that are not regular hirers, it's from the 1st of January. So that would be any proposed non-wedding hire fees and wedding hire fees. So these are new people that are not regular hirers. If they contact us, we'd like to ask if you can consider setting these fees from the 1st of January 2025. Thank you.
So starting the discussion, Councillor Chuka, and then
it's a complicated situation in terms of the Guildhall, certainly in terms of based on the previous guidance. So I'd like to thank the property manager in terms of the work they put into this. But even with that, it wasn't an easy read, shall we say. But what I'll say is, firstly, it does the proposal simplifies the charges, which is great because they're just mishmash of stuff in terms of the past. It recognises the true cost of actually organising and running activities within the buildings. That's important that that's been built in. It's also good to see that the proposals have been run by a third party who have given their endorsement. So that's all great. I just had a question and a request of action. And you sort of touched on the regular users, but currently we have a small number of regular users of this building. What I couldn't really pull out from this paper was what is the impact of them today versus whatever we're going to use. So, for example, with the Tai Chi class that comes in, we have the History Society, all of those. I could not draw out from this exactly. It looks like £40 today. It looks like it might be £90 from April. So it's just understanding that. So that's a question. But then in action, can we now separate out what the baseline is of the income from fees today, so that when we come to look at this at the end of next year, we've already collated our information now, rather than trying to do a run around in a year's time, because we need to compare that all of the promises in here are met in terms of the income will increase, and that's got to be the aim. But even if we don't have an increase in income, at least what we're not doing is basically allowing people to use this building at our cost, which is really what we have to address.
That's correct. Town Clerk, at this point, could I just make a point that I am a member of the History Society who are a hirer.
Yes.
So could I declare an interest in
you can
from that point of view?
Yeah, and what I would say is, I know that there will be questions, and it would be really, really helpful if some people would have posed those questions to me before the meeting, because I can't now pluck figures from thin air.
That's fine. It's not to undermine your book, because I'm very supportive and we'll do the cost of this. I was reading this today, so it's a question that's come up today for me to ask.
Yeah.
And I couldn't draw out from this. I might guess, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, some costs will have decreased. You'll find that Councillor Franklin did ask the question of the property manager, and I've got some examples. And if you let me, Mr. Mayor, I'll read. Yeah. So, Councillor Franklin, thank you, because you did contact the property manager. So, this was not a percentage straightforward increase across the board, which is what I think Councillor Franklin is asking the question. We had to look at, and the assistant clerk and myself and the property manager all did work on this, and it was a massive task. We've had a look at every option and focused on simplifying matters. We removed the weddings and kept them as a separate item. Several of the figures have gone down and some have had a moderate increase and some stay around the same during daytime slots. But the noteworthy increases are where the times are outside of the 9 to 5 or Saturdays, because that's when we have an increase in staff costs. So this is where the burden on staff resources is the greatest. So these are some examples. Example 1, the jury room. And this was a meeting, craft fair, coffee morning for the morning. The current cost is £55. The proposed cost is £60, so an increase of £5. The example 1 continues. The current hall preparation, £55. The proposed hall preparation, £20 an hour. That means where these hirers are not having a lot of preparation time, it will obviously be better for them. Whilst the proposed cost has gone up by £5, the hall preparation and clear down is likely to have gone down around £15. So that's just one example there. So therefore, the cost to hire this example for the morning is a saving of £10 overall. Example 2, the jury room for a meeting, craft fair, coffee morning for AM on a Saturday. The current cost is £55, proposed cost £110, £55 increase. And again, that's around the fact that, you know, you have staff costs at a weekend. So under example 2, the proposed cost has gone up by £55. However, the hall preparation clear down is likely to have gone down by around £15. So, you know, therefore that cost example, AM on a Saturday, is an increase of £40 net. Example 3, the jury room. This is for a trade sale exhibition for full day on Monday to Friday. The current cost is £290. Proposed cost is £230. That's a decrease of £60. The hall preparation clear down will save around £15, and therefore this example saves £75 compared to the current price. Example number 5 is the gallery, an art exhibition 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. The current cost is £100, proposed cost £40 for 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and £40 for 1 p.m. to 5 p.m, which is £80, which is a decrease of £20. The current price is there's not the price for the scenario of an art exhibition on a Saturday. So on the proposed list, this would be £80 for 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and £80 from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Again, reflecting the resource. A wedding, so the whole of the Guildhall on a Saturday for a wedding, that's ceremony, gallery bar and wedding reception. Current cost £600, proposed cost £1,500, with the current cost for the use of the kitchen for the full meal preparation £95, and proposed cost for use of kitchen for full meal preparation £100. So the total cost for the wedding scenario with full meal preparation is £905 increase. I won't do any more. There was one more, but I think that delivers the point.
For that. Yeah. So that obviously gives the point, which I'm going to add to as well, is that we this evening debated about a drawdown because of the costs on this property. And we had quite a thorough discussion on the drawdown, didn't we? And we all said, oh, it's not really right that we're drawing down the money. Well, this is a one-pronged approach of several prongs, hopefully, to try and address that. So I'm very grateful to the town clerk to give the examples to show where the extra increases in resources will be met from these increases. So I think we have, Councillor Ripley, and then up to Councillor Pennington and across to Councillor Fortescue. Councillor Ripley.
Yeah, this is just a general query, actually, which I was quite surprised at the end of Appendix A, the very last thing, paranormal events. That we know about.
They do come up actually. Yeah, we have ghost evenings.
Yeah.
So we do have ghost evenings. And indeed, with that, once again, the ghost evenings, they go until the early hours of the following morning. And if you imagine a member of staff has to be on the premises to assist with that. So if somebody's being paid until 3 a.m. And then I think we were, councillor Pennington was next.
Thank you. And yes, I welcome this report. I think it's an important step to build up a charging structure which is much more related to our own costs. It's based on what is fair and competitive. I'm not sure we're there yet, and I think this will be a process that we need to implement over several years, where we gradually build up a cost structure that really meets our needs. But I think this is a good progress for the time being. So I say it seems to take into account the real cost to us of the facilities. It remains competitive, and I support it.
Thank you.
How do the new proposed fees compare with the fees charged by comparable venues in the area?
I believe, did you take that into account, wasn't it?
So we did consult with a third party. Obviously, they are operating weddings in another venue as well. So we did do our market research about being comparable. Obviously, we are compounded as well by the cost of the staff resource. So if we do less events, but we actually cover our costs, then that's the nature of, because what members have said is what we're gleaning from you is that you don't want to be impacting on the precept increasing, and you don't really want to impact on the drawdown of the toll bridge fund. Therefore, we have to address the fees. That has to be the only option we have to try and match the resources we're needing for the events with the fees we're charging. Otherwise, there's just too much of a gap.
Councillor Black, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Thank you for giving us the examples, Councillor. I tried to work out some of that myself, and I have to say it would be very helpful if we had examples beforehand, because it is a complex thing, and I understand the difficulty. But I'd also like to ask one question. Is it not permissible for complex sessions like this to bring the property manager in, so we can have more of a debate? There's some very useful stuff here, and I do welcome the examples, please. They were the kind of thing I was struggling to get. But may I make a suggestion, if it is within our ways of working in these technical issues, to bring the person in and to give us not so much a presentation, but at least be able to give us much more of a detailed question and answer. I appreciate you've got a lot of other things on, and that's the person's speciality.
Yeah, so the property manager has worked both days this weekend. He's been here Saturday and Sunday, so he won't be here this evening. And that is the challenge at the moment with the resources. We are all having to cover things. So it's not, we don't have resources at the moment for two of us to be here. If you understand.
But may I make a proper principle that wherever possible, we do that. And it's also sometimes the RFO, and appreciate again that our resources are finite and pretty stretched. But I think it's extremely useful, because we were dodging around from one bit to the other and trying to track this. What does it mean? Is it a 50% increase or a 5% increase? I welcome the report, and I'm glad that we've actually started to grasp these levels. But I'm still not quite sure I understand it all.
The answer is there is no percentage increase across the board. We have looked at it individually, as each scenario. And obviously the resources, that's driving things, as well as the market research.
And I was just going to add to that, Councillor Black. I've worked for 3 councils in Kent, and there's no expectation for officers to attend evening meetings whatsoever. They literally do so. If you look at their contracts of employment, apart from the town clerk and the assistant town clerk who have to minute meetings, there's no requirement for any council officers to attend evening or out of hours meetings. And in fact, when we have the annual town meeting in March or April, I quite often myself and the town clerk make suppositions to planning, parking and all the other departments within DDC, and quite often we get replies back, that officer does not do out of hours meetings, and that's what we're giving. So please bear that in mind, all of you, that the officers down below are only doing things quite a lot of the time out of the goodness of their heart, and currently they're coming at weekends as well. Councillor Wiles, would you like to?
Yeah, I think if you look at the current charges, it's very, very complicated. How do you define what's this or that, etc. So putting the wedding packages together makes sense. The fees, you can quibble about them, whether they're better, higher, lower, etc. But I think we just have to go with it and review it after 6 months to see if the income is up or down, and just go for it.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Final question.
Yeah,
Councillor Franklin.
thank you. If people already booked a wedding, are they already agreed a price? Or will they have to cut, we have to go back to the history of the prices have gone up?
No, we will be honouring existing wedding bookings, but any bookings from the 1st of January, that's what I'm asking,
Yeah.
then we will be in that position where we're telling them the revised package and revised price, but we will honour certainly everything that's already booked.
Yeah, just met a couple of the museums, they come looking at courtrooms about getting married, in spring, so.
Yeah, no, I wasn't suggesting that we do that, no. We honour the bookings, but it's really, really imperative that we say from the 1st of January, because obviously wedding season starts in the new year, that's when people think about these things. So if we can catch it up the 1st of January, that would be very helpful, thank you.
Thank you.
So the proposal from the chair is that we adopt the recommendation, which is to accept these the structure of fees with the amendment from the town clerk. So existing regular users, the fees will not go up until the 1st of April 2025. But any new hirers that come in from January onwards would pay from the 1st of January the new fees. And to add to that, I will include that we will have a 6-monthly review point just to make sure that we're on track. Would anybody like to second that? So Councillor Wiles, thank you very much. And all those in favour, please show. For or against? Thank you very much. Yeah, that looks like that's unanimous. Thank you very much, councillors. It's a very complex one to do. Item number 11 is updated committee membership for Finance Committee. The trustees are to receive and approve the updated committee membership for SDBF Finance Committee. Decision is required. This was attachment 9. Town clerk.
Yes. It's just to make sure the trustee agree that Councillor Tom News is to join the Finance Committee. Yes.
I'd like to propose.
Indeed. And proposed by Councillor Tudor, seconded by Councillor Black. All those in favour, please show.
Can I vote for myself?
Oh, go on, we're too generous. It's now a vested interest. And that item is passed. Thank you very much. Item number 12. Now, on these next items from the museum coordinator, can I just take it that you've read through them all and you know what we're discussing, so we don't have to go too much into depth on them?
And just to add that the Museum and Archive Committee have thoroughly debated these.
Oh, indeed. Thank you for that. Indeed, that's that. So the first item is item 12, Collections, Care and Conservation Plan for the Guildhall Museum. Trustees are to consider a recommendation from the Museum and Archive Committee to adopt the museum's collection, care and conservation plan 2024 to 29, and this has been prepared by the museum manager. Attachments 10A and 10B. So do I have a proposer for this, Councillor Franklin, and a seconder, Councillor Ripley, and all those in favour?
Can I just clear, because the recommendation, there are two things. One to approve the care plan, and the second one is to give them delegated powers.
Indeed, that's
to
what.
the museum.
Yeah.
Those are two.
I thought you were doing one first.
I was doing one first, so I can come on to that. So the first recommendation is to adopt the plan. Thank you very much. And then the second recommendation is to give the delegated powers. So we have a proposer for that, Councillor Franklin, and the seconder, Councillor Tudor, and all those in favour of delegated powers. Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. And then the second one is User development plan for Guildhall Museum. Trustees to consider a recommendation from the Museum and Archive Committee to adopt the museum's user development plan 2024 to 29 that has been prepared by the museum manager and accepted by the Museum and Archive Committee. And this is attachment 11A and 11B. Do I have a proposal for?
Yeah, and it's two.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah, two
That's it.
recommendations.
Trustees are asked to approve the user development plan from the museum, and trustees are asked to give the Museum and Archive Committee delegated powers to approve future adjustments to the timescales of the user development plan. So those are the two items. Do I have a proposer for those two items? Councillor Pennington, thank you, and Councillor Anderson seconding.
Could I thank the manager for an excellent report?
Indeed.
I thought it was, you know, good reading and it's very clear to me, so
A lot of time has gone into actually bringing this to you tonight, so thank you very much for that.
It highlights the extent of the work that is needed there.
Indeed, it has. Thank you for that. So we've got a proposer, Councillor Pennington, we've got a second, Councillor Anderson. All those in favour?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's unanimous. That's been passed. Thank you very much. And item number 14, collections documentation plan for the Guildhall Museum. And the trustees are to consider a recommendation from the Museum and Archive Committee to adopt the museum's collection documentation plan for 2024 to 29. It's been prepared by the museum manager, and these are attachments 12A and 12B. Oh, that's it. Thank you very much. I haven't seen that page one. And the recommendations are trustees are asked to approve the collections documentation plan for the museum. Trustees are asked to give the Museum and Archive Committee delegated powers to approve future adjustments to the timescales of this collection document plan. Councillor Ripley is proposing, and do I have a seconder? Councillor Anderson. And all those in favour, please show documentation plan. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you. Item number 15 is treasure find, and trustees consider a report from the museum manager that relates to a treasure find offered to the Guildhall Museum. A decision is required. This is attachment number 13. And I must say that when I was reading through this, I got quite excited by the diagram. But then when I read about the actual sizes in millimetres, I had second thoughts and I wasn't really rather excited anymore. So, Councillor Anderson first and then we'll move down.
I entirely agree with that comment. I can't see it from the bus at all.
Indeed.
It would disappear down a crack.
Thank you. Councillor Tuka.
I suppose similar, but looking down a different lens, is that the key piece of information that's missing is how much it might cost to ourselves should we go down the route, because it's suggested that you should go in with a commitment to purchase, and I shall have to pay. Difficult to say.
And Councillor Black.
I'm not sure if that's the way to look at it. I thought it was actually centimetres rather than millimetres. So it's actually slightly larger, but a piece that size, which we don't know what it was used for, possibly to open and close a door or a door. We've got nowhere to display it. We've got no other artifacts to link to it. I would say absolutely not. We are not a depository of all treasure. I mean, that's what people like the British Museum exist for, not us.
And just to make you clear, because Councillor Black has highlighted something, on the diagram it does have CMS on it.
On,
On the front page under measurements, it says overall length 23.7 millimetres. And yeah,
Okay.
Exactly. And Councillor Wiles, did you have
Yeah, I'm asked. Not that interesting.
and then finally on to, finally on to Councillor Pennington for the last question.
There's so much in this proposal that we don't know. I feel unable to take a decision.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an expert. It would have been helpful to have a much more expert view of prisons. But I will just abstain because I don't.
Indeed. I can say on behalf
It may be good thing to buy.
I can say on behalf of the museum manager, she did give us all the information that she had at this present time, including the photograph which she did with measurements and everything. So what you've got is what there is, I'm afraid. So would somebody like to make a proposal before we get too entrenched? Indeed, thank you, Councillor Anderson. And do we have a seconder for that proposal? Councillor Ripley. Okay, and all those in favour of not purchasing this item, please show. So we've got
3 abstentions.
3 abstentions, and all the rest are for.
So that's a no.
So that's a no.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
What you've got with Richard the
Sorry?
What you've got with Richard the First when you got off that boat at the time.
It could well think it could have been his buck off his shoe.
Yeah, this is early, mate.
We would never know, would we? So, okay then, councillors, item number 16, date of the next STBF trustee meeting is the 17th of March 2025. Please put that in your diaries. Thank you very much for your attention and your discussions tonight, and I hope to see you, some of you, on Wednesday. Thank you very much, and that closes the meeting.
Yep. At 39.